Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am bringing to you a seminar that I did for a sheriff's event for retreat for young men. And this seminar is specifically designed for young men between the ages of 13 and 18. And I just wanted to put it on record because I've already shared this seminar with that group of young men, but I wanted to put it on record for other parents or even other organizations and groups who would want this information. This seminar is called Things That Women Expect from Men, and it's particularly geared toward the teenager, as I said before. My name is Shantae Charles. If you are new to my page or new to my videos, and I do various videos on different topics. And so this is just one of them. Like I said, I was asked to speak to a group of teenage boys about what women expect from men. So let's dig right into it. The first thing I did was I shared with them a very powerful book that I got a chance to work with as far as the editing on, but it is now a bestseller. It's actually even outpaced Tony Evans' work on manhood. And you can pick this book up on Amazon.com. And the title of the book is Manhandled. Manhandled. And it's by Dr. Oliver T. Reed. Very, very, very awesome and powerful book. And so we actually began here. And the subtopic of his book is Hidden Code Words That Impact Men and the People Who Love Them. And one of the things that Dr. Oliver Reed goes into is he goes into what's called the man-child effect. The man-child effect, which I think is very appropriate when you're talking with teenagers about some of the things that they may face, especially in our culture. So let me read this section to you from Oliver's book. Man-child, also male child or male infant. The man-child effect occurs when a young male is placed in the wrong position because he is viewed as the only option or alternative. The boy, a male that lacks guidance or direction, is given an access code to manhood that his mind, spirit, emotions, and body isn't prepared for. Imagine being thrown into the wilds of manhood when you're merely a boy who lacks the development to fulfill the roles of a man. The man-child effect can be seen anytime you see an underage male in an identity crisis. When you see a teenager who speaks of raising his siblings and paying his mother's bills, he is what would be called a man-child. Each time you overhear a young man speaking of the pressures to step up into a man's role, he is a byproduct of the man-child effect. Young men who succumb to the man-child effect feel trapped between two roles or two worlds. They feel they must perform and do more with less. Although these young males have the physical anatomy of a man, they lack the capacity to fulfill the role of a man simply because they haven't matriculated into manhood. Just because the young man has a male organ and a deep voice doesn't authorize him to be inducted into manhood. Many cultures have established a rite of passage because there's an innate understanding that guidance is needed for a healthy transition. There are many reasons young men are forced or put into position to take on the role of manhood prematurely. Here are a few vital factors of why the man-child effect occurs. Number one, due to the lack or shortage of men in the boy's environment or setting. Young men are recruited before they reach puberty to replace the man that has left their position vacant for whatever reason. Number two, the filters or perceptions of those applying the pressure are distorted or skewed. Oftentimes, parental figures view their young men as old enough to take on the position of a man. It can even be seen in referring to a young boy as my little man. Number three, feelings of hopelessness or abandonment are triggers that provoke young males into stepping up into a man's role. They truly feel they're the only ones, maybe, who can take care of their families. It breaks my heart as I travel the nations of the world to see boys standing in man postures. Often I ask them, "Where is your father?" And the reply is, "I never knew him." And number 4, following the leader. Young men mimic what they see their father or mother doing. Boys will conform to the pattern that is set before them. If they are told they are a man by those in authority, they will do their best to adhere to those instructions. The danger of a young man transforming into manhood prematurely is astounding. When young men are exposed to manhood early, they perpetuate the cycle, passing it on to the next generation. Each time a boy is put in a man's place, it weakens the core of the family structure and deforms their growth and development process. How can a young man be a boy and at the same time have to imitate the higher role? Here are some things to help decode and dismantle the man-child effect. Allow the young man to develop. Take on the role of a coach and move him forward. Don't trap him into the worlds or roles of a man. Number 2, don't apply unwarranted pressure to the young man's life. Refrain from discussing adult situations or circumstances with him prematurely. Number 3, don't let him lead until he has been groomed to lead. Provide an environment that allows the young man to follow before he takes on a leadership role. And number 4, if no man is present for the young man to set the pattern or expectation of manhood, find one. Link the young man to mentors that have embraced their own manhood. There is nothing like a man who has embraced the journey of manhood, because they make the best teachers. Only a mature man can truly train a young man to be a mature man. So that is a section out of Manhandled, Hidden Code Words That Impact Men and the People Who Love Them by Dr. Oliver T. Reed. Very, very, very powerful book. And so one of the things that we began to start off talking about is a part of this development from being a young man into being a grown adulthood man is also understanding what would be expected from you as a man with a young woman, right? So these PowerPoints that I have created are to help move boys from boyhood to manhood. Very simple keys as to what women expect from men, from grown men, that you will be developing and growing into. The first thing, respect her boundaries. In other words, no means no. Don't ruin her, but preserve her. Don't objectify her. She is more than her body parts. Sexual purity is a huge deal, not just among women, but also should be for young men. Young men and women should be being encouraged to be sexually pure. And so women are looking for men who will respect their bodies and not just being objectified. As I said before, a woman is more than her body parts. Women are looking for men who will be faithful to them. If you make her an option, she will have no reason to believe that you want a serious relationship with her. So in your desire to respect her boundaries, understand that a part of those boundaries means that if you're in a relationship with her and you're looking toward the future, you're not in a relationship with her and 3 other women or her and another woman. If you make her an option, again, she will have no reason to believe that you're actually serious about a relationship with her. Number 2, keep your word. Make sure you make every effort to be on time in your relationship. Keep your promises. Give a reason if you do have to cancel an appointment or a date, or you do have to break a promise. Don't be afraid to give a reason as to why you could not keep your word. but keeping your word is an important element of what women expect from men. Number 3, be honored to provide. You may be in a situation where she may have her own money, have her own business or whatever, but still be honored to provide. That, yes, she may be able to pay her own way, but you should also be willing to be the one who is the initiator of provision, right? And not necessarily expecting her to foot the bill. So even if you do go out, right, and she can pay her way, you still should have a initiative about yourself as a young man to be willing and be honored to provide in the circumstance or the situation. Number 4, make her priority. Think about her in your decision making, because to be honest, the woman that you marry will be coming before all others. So if you think in terms of that I'm preparing myself for the future. If I want to be married and I want a family, I've got to think about, is this someone that I'm with? Is this someone I'm interested in, that I'm willing to make her a priority? A priority over, in terms of marriage, a priority over family, a priority over friends, in leisure, a priority over games or sports. So make her a priority. That's another thing. Number 5, listen and communicate honestly. Women love to share. We do. We love to share. We love to talk. And so it is very important for us to have someone in our lives who's willing to listen to us and be willing to communicate honestly with us. Remember, when you're dealing with women, sometimes we don't necessarily want an answer as much as we want a listening ear. Sometimes people like to talk because even in their talking and communicating and getting their words out and getting their thoughts out, it helps them to be able to process what it is they're thinking and feeling. And sometimes if you just listen, that person who is talking often finds the solution to their own questions. So sometimes it's not about trying to solve a problem when you're listening, but it's about hearing that person and letting that person know, I'm open to understanding. I'm present in the conversation to understand and to empathize with what you're feeling, what you're going through, and what you're saying. Sometimes it's not in the presenting of an answer so much as it is allowing that person to express their thoughts and their feelings. All right. Number 6, be a leader and not a dictator. Respect her differences. Respect her gender differences. Respect her opinion. Be her partner and be a team player. Try not to be one who feels like they have to control everything. You have to control your environment, or you have to control the conversation, or you have to control events that you all go to. Try to be a leader where you're directing and you're guiding, but not necessarily a dictator. Someone who thinks that, especially in a relationship, that she can't do anything without you. She can't go anywhere without you. You have to be looking over her shoulder at her friends, checking her phone, controlling who her friends are, that kind of stuff. That becomes controlling and dictatorial, right? You want to be able to, both of you, have some measures of privacy and individuality. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay. Number 7, humility. Be willing to acknowledge when you don't know. Be willing to let go of your ego and ask for help. Now, we often joke about this with husbands and wives, and directions especially is probably the best example. The husband and the wife could be driving around forever, and that the wife could continue to suggest, hey, why don't we stop and ask for directions? Or, hey, plug this into your GPS. And the husband may say, hey, I've got it from here. I think I've got it. But one of the things that women expect from men is humility, right? Be willing to acknowledge when you simply don't know. It's okay not to know. It's okay not to know. Be willing to let go of your ego and ask for help, whether that's with directions, whether that's with assembling things. I know that's another area that can kind of be comical, where you could go out and you could buy something, but you don't want to read the instructions, right? You want to try to put it together without the manual. So be willing to let go of your ego and ask for help. Allow God to be your director. Allow God to be your leader. It is very important, especially if you are a Christian man. It's very important that God is the head of your spiritual life. Your spiritual life is important. You will be asking God for things about how to raise your children, right? You'll be asking God about, how do I talk to my wife? How can I be a support in my house? God, how can I be a better provider? So it's important for God to be leading your spiritual life, in your spiritual walk. All right. Number 8, have healthy friendships. Have healthy friendships. Remember, as women, we are looking at, especially with your friendships, we are looking at who is influencing you. Who are your role models, right? Maybe you grew up in a household where your father was not there. In this day and age in society, that's a very real possibility, that you didn't grow up with your father in your house. Or maybe you don't have uncles that, talk to you about different things or sit down with you. But there is the possibility that you can still have role models. You can have somebody, maybe a teacher or maybe a coach. So she can actually look to see, who are your role models? Who are you allowing to influence your life? Or does all of your role models come from the rap world? Or does all of your role models come from the sports world, right? People that you kind of look up to. And even with those, you can kind of look at their characteristics and see whether or not, do I want to be connected to this guy? He's only into role models who only, care about money, or who treat women very harshly. So she can also look at who's influencing you. The other thing she looks at is, who are you being influenced by? Who are your peers, right? What are your peers doing? Are they good in school? Are they getting into lots of trouble? Are they involved in illegal activities? So she's looking at also who you are influenced by. Remember, bad company corrupts good character. And you want to be, as a young man, you want to be around friends who sharpen you and who don't dull you. You want to be around people who can sharpen you, who can give you good advice, who can help you to stay out of trouble, who can encourage you to do the right thing. So women do expect men to have healthy friendships. All right. Number 9, be presentable. Care about your personal hygiene and your grooming. Be mindful of even your language, right? For a lot of young ladies, I don't think we talk about it, but swearing is a turnoff, right? Harsh language is a turnoff. Saying things that are vulgar about women, especially, is a turnoff. So be presentable in your character, in your behavior, in your physical appearance. Number 10, have compassion. Have compassion. Be kind and be caring to those who are your peers, and also to those who may be in a worse off condition than you are. Be the kind of person who builds people up and doesn't tear them down. There's nothing more unattractive than a young man who beats up on other people, who bullies other people, who says, disrespectful or rude things, especially about people who may be in a worse off condition, whether that is they're poor or they may have special needs or learning disabilities or even physical disabilities. There is nothing appealing about that. So have compassion. Number 11, intelligence. I call this a best kept secret, that women like nerds. We do. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. We do like good appearances. We do want the person that we're with to be attractive to us, but also intelligence is attractive. Intelligence is attractive. We like guys that we can learn from and look up to, whether you're good at math or good at auto mechanics, good at sports. Don't be afraid to show what you are good at. Don't be afraid to show the areas that you have strengths in. So be intelligent, show it off, help her out if she needs it. But that is something I would say is a best kept secret, that women like intelligence. We do. All right. Our next one, having a sense of humor. Don't be so serious all the time. Be able to laugh at yourself, right? Make her laugh. It's okay to be corny at times, but also know the difference between corny and being funny and being gross or vulgar or using potty humor, right? There is a place that you do need to draw the line with. Next, have confidence. Be yourself. Be yourself. Even if you think, hey, I'm a little weird, I'm a little quirky, it is perfectly fine to have your own confidence, have your own swagger about how you do things. Get comfortable in your own skin. Be comfortable with your strengths, and also don't be afraid to admit that you have weaknesses, right? It goes back to that thing about humility. Don't be afraid to admit that you have weaknesses. Next, women expect balance and stability from men. Have self-control and get help with any vices you may have in your life, whether that's smoking, whether that's drug addiction, alcohol addiction, porn addiction. I know even right now in the news, there's a very, very famous rock star who has just checked into rehab for sexual addiction. That's a very responsible thing for him to do, especially if he wants to improve his relationship with his wife and children. So having self-control and getting help with your vices, there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm out of control and I need help bringing myself back into a place of balance and stability. Being steady, right? Women expect you to be steady. Having a steady job or having steady friendships, having steady family relationships. Some of the things that women look for or they question in themselves, I know especially, is when you're looking at getting involved in a relationship with someone, you're thinking to yourself, is this person a loner? How do they get along with other people? Do they disappear for days at a time? When a woman gets really, really involved in a relationship and she begins to attach herself emotionally to you, it can be disconcerting if you're a person that disappears for days at a time, or you're a person that doesn't call or text for weeks at a time, days at a time, right? So she's asking herself, is this person a loner? Do they disappear for days at a time? Are they standoffish? They're looking at, how do you handle crisis or trouble in your life? Do you have anger issues? Do you lash out at people that you say you care about? Do you drop people easily? I mean, are you one of those people that, you give a person one chance, and if they blow that one chance, you completely disconnect and cut them off? Are you forgiving? They're also looking at, how do people see you? Do people see you as loyal, or do they see you as fickle? Do they see you as someone who's trustworthy, Or do they see you as someone who's always stepping out on their word? Do you pay people back when you owe them? So this kind of goes into that balance and stability piece as well. Women do expect men to be somewhat of a protector. Now, of course, we have all different kinds of things in our society where, you know, if women need to defend themselves, of course they can and they should. But we also expect some bravery, some valor, for the man to be willing to give his life, if necessary, to protect us or to shield us. So these are things that women expect from men. The last two, thoughtfulness. Show that you pay attention to details. If every woman has a birthday, you should know it. Especially going to be in a relationship. So pay attention to details. If she's got pets, do you know what they are? Do you know what their names are? Family members, especially family members that are close to her, you know, that are maybe beyond her immediate family, like mom, dad, brother, sister, but get to know her family. Understand her likes and her dislikes. What makes her sad? What makes her happy? What makes her confused? If she's had any trauma or abuse in her past, these are things that you should be getting to know about her. So thoughtfulness plays a role in what women expect from men, right? And in order to really engage in thoughtfulness, that means you will need to talk to her. You'll need to do some communicating. You'll need to do some listening in order to really master thoughtfulness. And lastly, spontaneity. Spontaneity. Be able to go with the flow. Don't fall apart if your plans do. Learn to enjoy unplanned moments of time and in your life, right? Don't let things like impatience get you down or things not going your way. Even if you plan something, say you want to go out on a date with her or take her out, and things don't go the way that you plan, be willing to go with the flow. Be willing to learn how to adjust your plan. So these are the things that women expect from men. Let me go through them real quick. Respect her boundaries. Keep your word. Be honored to provide. Make her priority. Listen and communicate honestly. Be a leader and not a dictator. Have humility or show humility. Have healthy friendships. Be presentable. Have compassion. Be intelligent. Show off your intelligence. Have a sense of humor. Be confident. Have balance and stability. Be a protector. Be thoughtful. And be spontaneous. So these are the things that women expect from men. I hope this teen edition has helped you out, given you some pointers, helped you to prepare for what is expected of you as you venture into relationships with women. Take care and God bless.